Hey folks, welcome along to week 7 of the BMW Bluffers Guide. This week we are at Zolder. As you can see here, it's a beautiful track, but a very challenging one as well. Hugely rewarding actually if you're still learning the art of iRacing. The countless chicanes here, and they do come in pretty much every flavour you can imagine. The chicanes here are really going to help you to master your kind of trail braking and throttle modulation, which is really important for GTE racing anyway. So great stuff. Couple that with your ability to keep your steering inputs really smooth and really steady. You're going to find yourself flying up the quali rankings, hopefully landing a few podiums along the way. So without further ado, let's get down to it and see how we get on. So as we come across the line, we want to position ourselves as far right as we can. And then we're coming in and we're cutting in quite tight and we're trail braking in so we catch that inside curb and we can jump on the accelerator on the exit so that we can sort of carry as much speed and get back on throttle as quickly as possible. We want to jump on the brakes sort of reasonably lightly and drag it in again just before the apex. We want to be back on the gas and accelerate out and round and keep a nice even curve on the accelerator. Out to the left here. Again, we want to sort of medium on the brakes here and really trail it in. Now I caught some of this curb here, and ideally you don't want to do that, but on that occasion it was absolutely fine. You can take a little bit of the gravel on the left without catching a 1x, so that's all well and good. Trailing over towards the right hand side here. Now we want to brake really hard between the 100 and the lamppost there and get ourselves down to second and catch the inside of that first curb on the apex, but have missed the second one, and accelerate as soon as we pass the first curb. Now we don't really want to go any wider than mid-track here. We're just going to be making the track longer if we do that. There's no need. We need to be tight to the left and really heavy into the brakes here. Now you might find that you feel like you should be going into first here, but actually if you can keep the throttle around about 50% as you're taking those various curbs of that extended chicane, then you can jump on the accelerator as you come out of that exit and keep your foot down all the way around this section. Treat it as one long corner. Tighten on the left here. Again, we want to get ready to get really heavy on the brakes before the 100 board there, and then right down to second. Again, you don't need first here. Don't take too much curb. I took a bit there and my car bounced. If you take more, you can take more and not get a 1x, but it will throw your car around and you'll lose tenths everywhere. Straight line that little chicane there, no problems with that. Again, we want to brake really heavily just after the 100 board and before that lamppost, and get ourselves down into second. Take this first apex a bit late, so that we've got plenty of room on the right-hander aspect, so we can get ourselves off down towards the start-finish line as quickly as we can. So that lap was a 1:25.69. Let's now break it down and see how we get on with the sort of extended view of this lap. As we cross the start finish, we want to make sure we're parking ourselves right over to the right, and we want to brake reasonably liberally around about the 100 marker, just after. So we're probably up to about 80% there, and then we're coming off really quickly and trailing, keeping that brake down as we're turning in. And we want to use that trail braking, we want to use that braking to turn the car. We don't want to overextend the steering angle, because that's it's going to scrub speed, it's going to overheat the tyres. You don't need to do that. Use the brake to turn the car here, and you want to catch that inside curb, so you can then jump straight on the gas and be out nice and wide on that exit. There's more track there if you want it. And then we're back over to the left really quickly, and then we're up to around about kind of 60-70%, and we're doing that just as the road on the right is kind of starting. And again, we want to treat it like turn one a little bit, but we want to come in with less brake, and we want to be in a position where we can get on the gas just before we apex, because there's a nice wide exit here, and it's a really sweeping corner. It's like two corners in one. So on the gas, nice and firm, keep that steering angle nice and solid. You could have come out a bit wider there than I did. You don't want to catch those red and white kind of no cut blocks that are there on the left. You can take a little bit of them, but if you take them too far, A, you're going to get a 1x, and B, actually you're going to do some damage to the underside of the car. We don't want that. We keep coming round nice and smooth, keep that steering angle, hit that apex there, and then again we're out wide to the left. Similar corner again. We want to start braking probably about 50% just before the first little path on the left. And the temptation is to take this really, really wide, but actually we want to use that braking and trail braking to bring us in nice and tight here. Now I actually got too tight, and I took a little bit of those no-cut bricks. Like I said before, you can take a bit, and that's fine. It will bounce the car. I probably lost a tenth, to be honest, of potential on this lap, but it was a strong lap, so this is the one that I plumped for. You can get on the gas really, really early here. There's lots of nice runoff out wide. We're gradually working our way over to the right down this straight. This is why it's so important to get such a good run on that last corner, because you've got a long bit of straight here. Heavy on the brakes. So it's a really tight chicane here. Really heavy on the brakes between the 100 marker and the first lamppost next to it. Now, when you're starting out, I would use the 100 marker and then just try and work your way a little bit further back. You want to have full trail braking into this corner. Get yourself down to second gear, and then you want to turn in relatively early. Now, I took a fair bit of this curb here on the first left-hand sort of apex of the corner. You can do that. You can take a bit of that curb. That's fine. If you can miss the curb, then brilliant. But the most important thing is not to catch any curb at all on the exit here, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to turn the car. You might get lucky and come out of the gas and save it and keep going. But really what you want to do is, like, midway between these two apexes, you effectively just want to straight line it, just miss that curb. You can be on full accelerator, and you've still got enough room there to turn the car before you run out of track on the left hand side. So it's worth practicing that. Just make sure you miss that second curb. We don't need to use the whole track here. We're just making the track longer, as I said before, but be tight over to the left and be really, really heavy on the gas here. We want to make sure we're at full threshold braking before the red and white marks appear on the wall on the left. You know, it's so easy to overshoot this corner. If anything, brake early and come out of the brakes earlier. You know, it's better to be safe than sorry. Slow in, fast out here is absolutely key. Now, you might be tempted to go down to first gear. Don't do it. Keep it in second. And the reason we want to do this is because engine braking is going to be less. You know, you're not going to have as much kind of braking coming out of the engine from high rev, from max revs. And also, you can keep about 50% throttle as you see here. I've bleed out of the brake onto the first apex, really tight to those little 3 little blue sausages there, the no cut sausages. And then I'm coming up to about 50%, and then as we're approaching the final exit on the right, we can sort of drop the hammer nice and steadily and build up some pace. So to sort of conclude on this whole sort of chicane complex here, second gear is really important because, like I say, the engine braking, but also because of traction. If you go down to first here and you get a bit trigger happy on the accelerator, you're going to wheel spin, you're going to lose time, you're going to sort of lose that little bit of control on the car. But actually being in second here, having the engine slightly bogged down, having it so that you can use the accelerator quite firmly without losing traction, means that you keep your car nicely planted, you keep your wheels planted on the track, there's no loss of traction, and you can really pull out here. And this is going to make a huge difference to your lap time. The important thing is to make sure that you compromise the first part of the chicane, so you got the best line coming into this final right-hander here and accelerating out, and gradually working the accelerator up to 100%, so we're not losing traction, and then keep that turning angle here 100% on the accelerator, no problem there. Lovely sweeping turns here. It really works. If you get it right, it just feels so smooth. So we're staying over to the left here, really heavy braking zone. We want to brake before the 100 marker, and actually from the in-car view you can see there are two lots of branches with leaves that hang over the track. Now the second lot of those branches with leaves are just before the 100 marker. That's where you want to brake. Don't leave it any later than that. You're going to regret it. Really heavy into the trail braking, down to second again. And now I actually cocked up here a little bit and I locked up my front right. And that's because I was trying to do too much steering angle with too much brake applied. So the grip goes. Entirely my fault that. I've done it 100 times without doing that, but I had a great lap, so we'll take that. But what you don't want to do is take any more curb than that. If anything, I took a bit much there. You can take loads of this curb. You can pretty much be on the grass here and not get a 1x, but it will really massively unsettle your car, and it will be a slower lap. You can actually take this quite wide, and you want to apex quite late here to give you a really good run. You know, really smooth on the throttle coming out there, and then you can just take this little kind of semi chicane, straight line it. Now we're coming up to the most challenging chicane of all, and we want to brake just after the 100 board, before the lamppost there. Full trail braking, good 80-90% on the brakes, right down to second gear, and we want to take this a little bit late because the no cut little bricks that you can see there on the second corner, you're gonna screw yourself over. You're not going to be able to take a fast line on the right hander to spit you out into that start finish straight unless you compromise this first one. So we're coming in late, we're apexing it really late, and then we're making sure we're nearly mid-track as we're turning in to the second one. we're already well onto the gas. We've modulated to about 50%, and then we're back on it as we apex, and really gently into 100% so that we don't lose traction. If you can hear those wheels spinning, you are losing tenths everywhere on this course. So gently, slow as fast here, definitely. So that's the lap. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was useful for you. Really keen to hear how you get on this week. Brilliant course this. There's going to be some great racing here. If you can carry the speed around those first fast turns, and you can nail the entries to those chicanes, and each of those chicanes is ever so slightly different, so you want to treat them individually. It's not just another chicane. These are, really quite individual sets of corners. So if you can get those right, you're going to really kill it here this week. So it's worth taking the time to practice. I'm showing on screen the track state that I use for this, so you can practice in the same environment. And I've also included the split for the entire lap, so you can see all of the sectors and see where you're losing time or see where you're doing well. So I hope it goes really well this week. If it was useful, please do give it a like. If you want to see more, please do make sure that you're subscribed and you hit that little bell, and you'll get notified when the next video comes up. I've actually been away for a couple of weeks, so you'll probably see some extra videos from me over the next couple of weeks. I'm hopefully going to do a few races here and there, maybe some other guides. Let me know, what kind of videos you'd like to see, and I'll see what I can do. I'm really keen to do a bit more. So thanks again for watching. Have a brilliant week this week. Enjoy Zolder, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.